It says we're live. I'm going to go over and check it on Facebook before I bring my guest up. So hold on, everybody. Let me make sure it sounds okay. Yep, sounds pretty good. This let me get back over here on my screen. There we go. I'm going to pull this off. It's my guest, the body language doctor herself, Dr. Donna Van Natten. Now, she's been on the podcast and my radio show several times. I've been to some of her speaking engagements. I've been to one or two where I may have got up and spoke either before or after her as well on the marketing or sales side. I don't I don't know if you can get a degree, but if there were a degree in being a badass, I would assume she would get it. Maybe that's her next book, The Language of a Badass, The Body Language of a Badass. 3, 2, 1. Dr. Donna Van Natten, how are you?
Apparently, I'm a badass.
You are a badass.
Yeah, I guess if you put the DR in front of it, it's all good, right? Just trademark that.
That is a license plate, Dr. Badass. There you go.
That would be fantastic. At least in a bumper sticker, right? Only on the glass, though.
Oh, yeah, you can scrape it off. You don't want it on anything else. How is life, real quick? It's been a while. I know we were catching up before we went live, but let's just kind of be transparent and have a little bit of that conversation here. How's life? Where are you right now? What you got going on? And then we'll talk about some stuff.
Life is good, right? Just, I'm in that sandwich generation of the kids are big and doing their thing. And I became a grandmother to a 6-month-old perfect granddaughter. And
congratulations.
Thanks. And on the other end, taking care of my mom with some health stuff. So that's what we do at this age. And then we work, right? And we play hard and work even harder, I think.
Yeah, we were talking about that. I don't know how you are. I say I would retire if I could, because I'm probably not ever going to be able to. But depending on what work looks like, I don't know if I ever want to live a life where I just do nothing. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think I think we're not designed that way. I mean, you and I are, first of all, we're kind of too young to retire, especially when they keep bumping up that old Social Security age on us, and that takes care of that. But I think I still have a lot to contribute, and I'm fortunate that I'm still traveling. And, COVID, of course, did a number on everybody, including myself, but mine was more inconvenience than anything else, for a lot of in-person work. But I went to Oklahoma and spoke at, the 25th memorial of the Oklahoma bombing at a great event. And I just came back from Nashville. I work with a lot of realtors on getting their continuing education and private clients speaking and coaching and going and doing workshops. So wonderful to have all that back in person.
Well, tell me this. When you went to Nashville and did the real estate thing for the realtors, was it on a specific topic, or did you just bring up topics? What was the topic you spoke on?
I spoke on body language, on nonverbal communication, and with realtors, for them to earn hours, you have to have what's called TREC approved courses. Right. So I actually have 2 TREC approved courses that individuals, in Nashville, they have, it's an all female team, and they, combine their resources in the realty field, from brokerage to warranty to gifts, everything realty. And they bring a speaker in, they host lunch, they have 100, 200 realtors. And so it's really a win-win across the board to get everybody in the same, auditorium.
I was telling you, I've got people that I talk to that are younger than me. And it's not bashing generations at all. It's just the difference in generations. Me and you are different than our parents and our grandparents. And one of the things that I have found that they struggle with that I did not, and it could be a generational thing or just personality, and I had things I struggled with that were different, but is the ability to pick up the phone and deal with cold calls in a confident manner. At least I did not understand how I sit, my posture, my tone comes through on a phone call.
Absolutely.
I had no clue. And I listen to people now, I'm coaching. They have trouble going to cold network in a room with people they don't know. But even in the phone, you hear it in there. I can listen to them. And isn't that?
It is. It's an interesting, and COVID changed the game, for 2 to 3 years of staying away from society and in person, from handshakes to how close do I get to you, and eye contact, and how loud is my voice, and the earth got kind of quiet for a while there. And so, reintegrating, whether you're an introvert or extrovert, and, how fast can I go back to handshakes, or how close can I get? And, wearing a mask, that was a game changer, and tone became even more sensitive in eye contact. So, and when we think about people that have only been in the workforce for a couple of years, during that critical period, maybe they were in school, maybe they were home from school and everything was virtual. Remember, it was so weird in the beginning with everything virtual. And it's the first time we get to see ourselves when we're talking to somebody else. And the first thing when you hop on a virtual call is, oh, my hair. Oh, how's that look? Oh, what am I? Well, look, what's behind me kind of thing. So that was a new. So I think it will calm back down. But again, it's kind of bringing the pendulum back to the middle a little bit, from all in person to not in person to all,
spectrums.
Mm-hmm.
It's a spectrum. And I watched, not just myself, but I watched other people get more comfortable with the air quote, the Zoom or the video talk like we're having now. Whereas when we first started, there was a technical hurdle. People were like, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? Is how does my face look? And now those same people are like, hey, dude, I'll jump on in 2 seconds. They click it, they talk, and they're done. And I'm like, so maybe there were some positive things that came out of the horrible 2-year little roll.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. It sure does save a lot of money not to have to go someplace to be in person. And we've learned to look what's behind us, or the framing, if you will. And, they've always done it in TV land. I mean, I've spoken on TV like Daily Mail, UK and things like that. And they bring you on early and they're lining up your eye vision and how big and move that out of the way. And so it's things that television world has always been doing, and, staying in your frame and what are your hands doing kind of thing. And we've more mainstreamed that now, so that you're not really big with your face and I'm sitting, on a couch back there, eating potato chips trying to talk to you.
Right. Well, yeah, I've done so many Zooms. I mean, so many videos now over the last 3 or 4 years. I told somebody today, I don't know if there's an incident that I have not had happen to me. I've had technical issues, somebody that was way back there. Somebody he clicked in one time. He's still putting his shirt on. I'm like, man, we're not live yet, but dude,
seriously.
And I'm like, that's probably something you could have done, off screen a little bit before the podcast.
Most definitely.
All right, let me ask you, we talked about the confidence. We talked about speaking. Before we came on, we were talking about you in your speaking engagements.
Mm-hmm.
I've done some speaking. You've done it on a much bigger scale and for a longer period of time. That's how you make a lot of your money, because you have you bring a certain set of values to people in the audience. How important is it for you, energy from the audience? And the reason I'm bringing that up is we were talking about people say, they've said it to you and they said it to me, you should be a comedian. And I'm like, no, I shouldn't. I'm just a smart ass at good at responding to in-moment things. Does not mean I'm good at writing jokes. Because if I was a comedian and did not get feedback, I would be a comedian one day.
Well, I think we could run with it right there. You're a smart ass and I'm a badass. So
there you go.
Let's take it on the road.
A new podcast.
Boom. Yeah, I know. Forget anything else. I think it does help if you have a lot of natural humor, though. And critically speaking, you have to be a fast processor. So you can respond to a live audience, live questions. That goes to the tone of the umming and awing, and are you prepared for the answer? And to be able to, really scan a room to see everything going on, or are you so monofocused that you can't see something, down here in quadrant 1 kind of thing. But humor always helps. And of course, you have to hook them right at the beginning.
Yeah. I have over the last few years, I found that it takes me a long time to get to my question. And that really bothered me for a while until I realized that's just the way I talk. It's okay. People don't like it. They don't like it. But I found that I have a habit. Hear that?
I was going to say something about that little finger and that pen. Yeah, that's a pacifier there. Look at you.
It is. And I have my grandfather's brass peanut. And usually he carried it in his pocket. He was a railroad engineer. And usually if I have something in my hand, I'm okay. What's weird is I started thinking about all the times I've spoken, I always have a pen in my hand or a clicker or something to point with.
Right.
I'm not good with my hands are empty.
I know.
You're good at it though. I always feel like I have to have something.
Yes, and that is one of those. I mean, that is a nonverbal that does, whether it's true or not, it conveys, insecurity or fidgety kind of thing, let alone all the micro expressions on our face. But what are we doing with our hands? We like to see our hands and we like to do something with them, but so a lot of people now hold the phone in their hand for a while, or they pick their fingernails, or, they're doing something with that, hand wringing for insecurity, most definitely. But you mentioned confidence. And so a good confidence one, whether it's true or not, would be, steepling. definitely not the church and open the door to the people kind of thing.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
steepling, raise it up, or don't do the spider on the glass table. We love thumbs as confidence builders, whether they're in our pants and our thumbs are sticking out. We always joke with the realtors about they're the industry that throws it on their lapel. Like, once you see that, you'll want to buy a house from me. And now
Didn't that come from farmers? Remember, farmers used to hook their overalls. It'll be
Yep, most definitely. So thumbs are big. If you look at a lot of famous people in their photos, particularly males, you'll see a thumb or two out that conveys confidence.
Was that something, was talking empty hands, is that something you just got from the get-go? You never had a problem? Or did you have to wean off having something in your hands too?
I've never been a kind of a fidgety, nervousy kind of person. And, I study gesture. So I'm trying to be very intentional, because when we're speaking versus our nonverbals, if the two don't match, we'll use the body as the reality check. Not what I say, but what else is going on. So like right now, your hand's in front of your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one nonverbal. You want to look for clusters of 3 at least. But if it was going something else within the body, what would you be telling me? But, typically we don't touch our faces. And so when there's a shift in behavior and we touch our face, whether it's this way or evaluation or, headache kind of thing like that, or I don't want to hear something, start playing with the ear. But we'll this is one. And since you have facial hair, it even makes it more fun is, this one, you do any of that stuff?
Stop it. I'm feeling triggered.
That's real name. I'm going to shock you now. All right. That's called oral fixation. Right?
I've read about that in college. Thank you very much.
Most definitely. And it's a soother. I mean, if you think about it, it's very sensitive, all these, nerves right here. And it's our food source when we were an infant. So we're very aware of that. And, it looks bad right now at our age to suck our thumbs. So nothing like, doing this.
You know what's weird? Okay, here's 2 things. You said that, first of all, on this side of my face right here, I didn't trim.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sticking into my lip and it's driving me insane. So I've done this. I've been 3 podcasts today, and
You're grooming it.
I'm just trying to get the dang thing out of my lip. The other thing you said though about in front of my face like this is acknowledging a bad habit I have, and I think it's the more coffee I drink, the worse I am at it. But it tells me to stop talking.
Correct. Don't talk. And if you're going into negotiations and you have a habit of wanting to jump in and not leave a lot of latency space between people talking, and that you may have the answer quickly, that taking the hand in some degree and covering the mouth is a great way of saying to self, don't talk, and showing your viewer, I'm giving it to you.
And so to your point, I've actually done podcasts and little speeches on this about the power of silence when it comes to sales.
Mm-hmm.
I am really good at that. One of the ways I got to be really good at sales and silence is that technique of asking you a question. Okay, Donna, it seems like I've answered all the questions. What do you think about moving forward on this next week? I had to get used to that, because if not, I found myself talking myself out of sales.
Right. Or
so I got good at
negotiating before that person even answered. Yes. And because you and I may have a short latency space and jump in on each other, doesn't mean everybody else likes that. It's kind of like driving. Some people like a lot of space and some say bumper to bumper. And so even though you may be thinking, my gosh, that's like 6-7 seconds after I pose the question, somebody just needs some time to think about it.
I was in Nashville, go back 10 years ago, maybe. I was talking to a small group of business owners, maybe just not 25 or 30. It was for a little networking organization. And I was talking about the power of silence and how awkward it is. And if you're going to be a good salesperson, you got to get comfortable with silence. And I said, there's a lot of power in silence. A lot of things happen underneath the surface. And to make my point, I made a mistake. It was a good mistake. And I changed it since then. But I said, everybody, I just want us to sit in silence for a second. Now, I should have gone with 10 seconds of silence, right? I pulled my little watch out. I went with 30 seconds of silence on a stage, and honest to God, at the end of it, I was uncomfortable.
You're walking off the stage.
Everybody, about 15 seconds into it, we're all going, and I was determined. I'm like, then I brought it up. I'm like, did everybody feel that? And everybody was like, oh my God, it proved the point. And I can do it now in 10 or 15. It's the same concept. But I remember about halfway through it going, this was a massive mistake.
I'm dying here. I'm dying. Yeah. And I mean, silence is still communicating. For example, think about it in your personal life. You get in a fight with your, significant other and give them the silent treatment. Oh, you're talking.
Yeah.
You're communicating all right. So why wouldn't it apply in a non-emotional way or a non-fighting way to other circumstances? And letting that other person have the opportunity. There's that classic, he who speaks first loses kind of thing. But it's not really not about that. It's about feeling confident enough to let the silence hang in there. Or some people say, let silence do the heavy lifting.
Yeah, because you never know what the other person, especially when it comes to sales. I know I keep going back to that, but that's what I use it in. You never know the process the person's using in their brain to get to the answer that you want. They're either going to give you the right objection, now you can address it, or they're going to say yes, or they're going to give you the real no. To the silent treatment thing, there's a comedian named Nate Barzgetti. I don't know if you've heard him. He's from Nashville.
I have not.
Oh, he's one of the biggest ones coming up. He's been on Joe Rogan. He is really clean. He's like a Brian Regan, so you can watch him with your family. But he's got this thing about getting in fights with your significant other and living in a normal size house. He goes, I don't live in a mansion. There's one hallway. He goes, you get in a fight with your wife. He goes, you pass each other in a hallway, and you don't realize you're coming through at the same time. You're like, excuse me, pardon me. And then excuse me, are you watching this, ma'am? Can I turn? And then we just sit in silence. And I thought that's pretty accurate too.
Yeah, exactly.
Treat you like a stranger. Hey, couple things. I brought up a picture of you when we were coming on. You have written 3 books. I know you're not writing anything currently.
Right.
I don't have it in front of me. One is the body language for women. The other was the image scrimmage. And then the third one, and I'm not sure that's in the right order, but is the body of politics. Is that it?
That's
the
right.
Body language of politics.
Right.
We're getting ready to come back into a political year.
Oh, yes.
And
I actually have the book. So what I was looking at real quick. So when the book came out on the last one, Trump and, these people, you've seen AOC. We know these people. And remember that classic, that whole handshake. So it'll be interesting to see if Skyhorse Publishing updates these photos. I mean, the content itself of the goods inside are still the same, but it'll be interesting to see who ends up on the cover then, right?
Do you not get an option? I don't know how being an author works. Do you get a say in them, like sending them something saying, hey, we should update them? Okay, you're giggling. For our audio listeners, the doctor is laughing at me.
Yes, no, you don't, unless you're big, right? Unless you're big, and you know what I mean, big by like Clinton big, Obama big, Trump big kind of thing. For the rest of us, your publishing house has all of the control.
Okay.
Particularly on stuff like now, I own the words. That's a big deal. If you ever want to get into writing a book, I learned this from Joe Navarro, who is #1 body language person in the world and kind enough to write the foreword, and a colleague of mine for book number 2, the politics book. But he said, when I wrote the second book, he said, I said, would you look at this contract for me and, give me some advice? And he said, yeah, you need to own the words. So, and in English world, if you will, you have to quote yourself. So if I use anything in my book, I have to quote myself when I'm quoting myself.
Really? According to me.
And even the research. Yeah. In the research, when you're writing articles and things like that, and you use your own research, you have to quote your own self.
I remember clearly saying into the mirror, self
quoted.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that I said this in May 11th of 98.
That's a little awkward. But
it's a little bit different, but yeah. So the whole world of publishing and books and all that, it is a big industry, obviously, and it's designed for a lot of people to make money. And when it goes through, 37,000 distribution channels, everybody's getting a piece of something.
Well, and for what you do for a living, and I'm going to say it, you get a chance to correct me. It seems like it is something you probably enjoyed. It got a message out, but it's also becomes a tool. You make a lot of your money on coaching and speaking.
Correct.
And books add some legitimacy to that. And it's one of those things that once you're done talking to a group, there's something left behind that maybe go in depth or gives them more information than you could have delivered.
Right. You said it perfectly. You can go on Amazon and buy them, Google my name, Google up something with body language, and body language doctors trademarked and things like that. But it's support for the work that I do. It's not like I ever set out and said, one day, Clint, I want to be an author.
Yeah.
Quoted, not me saying, but it was, I would go and I would speak, and people would get excited about the topic because who doesn't love body language and nonverbal communication? And they're like, "We want more. We want to buy your book." And for a couple of years there, I was like, "How about buying somebody else's book?" And then I thought, I think I can help with that. And so it turned into the first book, and then parlayed itself into 3 books, and that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, and I love, just between me and you, I've not read the one on, the body language for women yet,
My
and just
favorite.
well, and what I was gonna say though, I know it's focused in on women, but guys, we need to learn some of that stuff. It's just as good for us to either practice it ourselves or understand it when we're talking to someone of the opposite sex, whether it's a
Absolutely.
personal or business relationship.
I think all of them, even though they do focus on women about self and some of the reflective, ponderings, if you will, and worksheet opportunities, everybody needs it. Just like it's important that we understand all genders, both genders, all genders, and either stereotypes or where certain behaviors come from, in childhood and things like that. And every male has a mom, a sister, a daughter, a wife, a significant other, a niece,
Yeah.
So how do we not help them kind of this to navigate the world and continue to help? We need men. We need men to help women, to sponsor women, to serve as mentors and support, and to speak up for us when there's injustices and we're not around, and
Yeah.
another group of guys, and just say, hey, no, not on my watch, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I would like to think, but of course, if you read the headlines nowadays, I think the older I get, we're going backwards sometimes. In my world, I think we're at a place to where we should just support each other because I like you and chasing your dream makes me happy for you. And if I don't like you, hopefully it's based off I don't like who you are, not because of anything you are. Does that make sense? I just don't mean you just don't jive.
I think that's great, a little altruistic, because we do notice gender and we notice color and we notice age and
And
we
that's
notice,
okay.
right. But let's not
Yeah.
let those be the defining factors, right?
Yeah. I told,
Mhm.
God, was it Jeff Styles on a podcast last week? I don't trust anybody that tells me they don't judge people. I just don't trust you. If you tell
We
me
have to judge.
that's
Well, I
how
mean,
we
we're a
get through
Homo
a
sapien
day.
living on Earth that needs to survive. If you don't think
Yeah.
that's true, we judge, traffic situations. We judge safety. If you're walking around a dark area at night, we have to judge. We're constantly judging. It's what we do with that, and be cautious not to get in the traps,
Yeah.
right?
If anybody tells me they don't believe that I don't judge, wait till your kids start dating.
Yeah.
That's all I
Right.
say.
Just like the word manipulate. Do we manipulate people? Yes, to get what we want. And it starts when we're infants and a baby cries, and there's different types of cries. Sometimes they're bored, come get me, and I'm hungry or I'm wet or something. So I'm going to manipulate this bigger person to come rescue me. So that continues. We just become more sophisticated with it.
There was a meme I posted yesterday, and I can't believe you brought it up. It said, "Me and you are not the same. You were raised, and if you cry, I'll buy you something to stop crying. I was raised, if you're crying, I'll give you something to cry about." You know,
There
my
you
mama
go.
would say, "If you keep crying, I will give you something to cry about." And you're like,
Right.
"Oh,
We
well."
used to say, let's take a trip to the restroom. Do we need to go to the restroom? No, we don't.
My dad called it his office.
Oh,
I
the office.
Yeah,
Right. Come in my office.
let's step into the office before we go to bed. No, we're good.
I'm good.
I
Nope.
don't have any
Nope. I'm going
work.
to go happily read a book and go to
I'm
bed.
9 years old. I'm just gonna go in here and play with Legos. You just go to your office
Exactly.
and do your work. So real quick, I wanna go back to the political thing, and then we'll wrap it up in the next 10 or 15 minutes. But the book about the body of politics, and it's kind of the spur of the moment. So if it's one of those things you say you can't remember off the top of your head, I completely understand. We didn't talk about this beforehand. When people read it,
Mhm.
the relevant things that we should take away from it, like, on a side question, when you watch debates, is that like a field day for you?
It is a field day for me. I get very excited. And it's funny. I have a lot of people will text me going, "Did you see that? Did you see that? What'd you think?" And the book is not about picking a party. That's not what it's
No,
about.
yeah,
Us being aware. It's about the evil giant called media influence and control. And I call them the evil giant because we associate with a particular station or platform, and we blindly go into it without, really investigating. It's all in the news now, but it's becoming more aware of when things are said. Are we looking at other parts of the body, or even like as a gender of what expectations of how a male can behave and get away with things versus a female. And from the research that I did, we default male to Republican, and because of the hard issues, and I could push the button, but female to Democrat because social issues and saving all the people. And
Right.
can you imagine being a female that's a Republican? She has a double expectation of still act like a female, but you need to act like a man, but you need to represent our party. So there's some fascinating dynamics to go down any of those.
Yeah, and if you think, now that you brought that up, if you're a Democrat female and you may have a harder line than the narrative on the political party, how do I walk that line and be
Right.
the air quote caregiver or whatever it is, the easier? I just love people. Plus, but we got to have policies, and some people might get left. That's a hard thing. Just wear
It
red or
is.
blue. We'll like you. We're easy. We're so
We're
simple
going
now.
purple, white. We're
I'm
rainbowing
telling
the
you.
whole thing, correct?
I am. Here's what I've learned as because I do these political podcasts for 3 years now. If you wear red, there's a huge group of the population is going to vote for you. They don't really care.
Right.
And if you wear blue, it's the same way. And it's
Mhm.
just silly. It drives me insane. I will say, I don't mean to make this political because we're not going to talk politics. But when the good fellow President Trump was in office, he had some body language moments that were
Epic. Epic.
He jerked Putin towards him. There's one where there's a line of people getting a picture made, and he walks through and basically hockey moves everybody out of the way.
Yes.
And I'm going, oh my God, you don't even have to be a doctor to figure that one out. That's
Right.
a bully move, man.
Right. And which side you stand on when you're with another world political leader, for photos, who's in the power position? Is it on the right or the left? What's the other non-shaking, the left hand doing? How are your feet placed? When do you give it up to somebody? When do you palm them on a handshake for control? Oh yeah. When do you, feel like you're patty cake stacking your hands together?
Me and you talked about this. One of my
We did.
one of my favorite videos. I want people to go watch it. I can't remember if it was Bush or Clinton. I think it was Bush. Maybe it was it when they were walking. There was 3 leaders of the world walking into a door, and none of them wanted to
I
go
know
in.
who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yes.
they wanted to go in last, and
Yes.
basically pushing each other, and they shaking hands, and it was on your shoulder. Now I kept thinking, how high can I get my hand?
Exactly. One of my favorites is, I think it was Bush, second Bush, and with Putin. And he's bigger than him physically, and he ended up taking his arm and putting it around Putin, and he could not hide. Putin's face was like, I hate you. You're close to me. Your armpit's in my shoulder. Your other one is gripping me. And, they're both, he stopped smiling. He's like, I'm not going to even try here because I am miserable. Let go of me.
Yeah, and Putin's a killer. I wouldn't have grabbed him anyway. I would have had a secret service between me and Putin at all times. I'm not that. I'm like, nah, I'm just going to keep that big dude between me and you. I suggest people go buy the books. I hope they do. Are you binge watching anything right now?
I am. I have like the ones that are kind of socially, sure, Yellowstone, and they'll watch Firefly Lane and things like that. And then, of course, I have I'd like to say it's a guilty pleasure, but I don't even feel guilty. I love any social dynamics. So like Selling Sunset, I know.
That's a real estate. That's the real estate.
It is. And it has, I think the longest clip, when you look at how many cameras and angles and all the editing, I think it must be meant for like, animals, because the attention span on one single angle maybe is about 7 seconds, and then it's something else. I'm thinking, if you get a whole couple minutes on a scene, it feels like you're having an intimate dialogue. But I get a kick out of watching them and their faces and, just how everything looks, and go about my day. And so anything kind of Survivor, any kind of social experiments, of course I love, because it's people with other people behaving.
Are you, we talked about one called, is it Dark Knight or Night something?
Oh, Night Agent.
Okay.
Agent.
Now, I maybe get this wrong. I was going to ask you this before you came on. I thought I'd save it for now. So I might get this one wrong. I started watching one the other day, and at first, I did not like subtitles, like when it was dubbed over into English.
Mm-hmm.
But now it doesn't bother me as bad, except, and I can't remember if Night Agent is one of those. Is it one of those that's dubbed over?
No, it's English.
There's one I cannot remember. Literally happened to me yesterday, and it's one of those. You know, how Netflix tells you the #7 show in the United
Sure,
States.
sure, trending or ones
Yeah,
to
so I
watch.
thought
Mhm.
I'm gonna watch it. It looks like something on my alley. I like killing things and all
Of
that.
course.
Why not? And I start watching it, but the problem I have is the voice doesn't match the face, and it's
Oh,
not.
interesting.
I don't mind the ad lib, the dub over.
Mhm.
It's the voice, and I'm
They
going,
picked the wrong voice.
that
The
doesn't.
tone, the pitch is too high, or it just
Yeah,
mhm.
that doesn't look like her. That's not what she would say. That's stupid. So
Oh,
I can't
that's
watch
funny.
it. Um, have you watched Peaky Blinders?
I started watching some of it. I didn't watch all of it, though. Pretty good.
It's pretty good. See, I don't think you'd like the ones I like now that you told me that. The Last Kingdom is a Vikings movie, a Viking
No,
series. You're not
I
a
don't
Vikings
really
person.
I'm not really into, killing as the main theme of the binging process. I tend to like, again, this, but I do appreciate a good prison movie.
Oh yeah. I just
I
think maybe
mean,
I'm doing some self-revealing here. Maybe I need some mental help. I'm liking Game of Thrones again. West
oh,
Wing.
wow.
I love West Wing. I'm watching
Okay.
it again. Have you seen West Wing before?
I have not, but some of those have, like, Criminal Minds, they've been on for like seasons and seasons. Now Lie to Me. Lie to Me was Body Language. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Based off Paul Ekman, who's one of the classic researchers of our time.
I'm gonna go
Lie
look
to
that
Me
one
is
up.
fantastic.
I'm gonna look
That's
that one up.
a plug right there too for nonverbal communication. He's actually one and so clever.
Well, so I also like the ones, and again, I'm sure it's a sign of an ill brain. The live tapes are the tapes about like serial killers, like the Ted
Oh,
Bundy stuff.
Dahmer, right. Because
Listening to
we
them,
grew up with that, but we didn't hear all the backstory on it, right? Again, it's what we saw in the media, we read in the newspaper, kind of thing. So to go back and get the family history and all of the details, yeah, scary, right?
well, the thing that scared me the most is the listening to the raw tapes of just them talking about things, and you think, so me and this person are the same species of how they talk about stuff,
Right.
and watching, if they do have videos, watching their body language
Mm-hmm.
of how relaxed and calm and collected they are, and I'm like, yeah, we're different. That's a different spectrum
Yep.
of
Well,
people
that's a
right there.
whole that is a whole industry of what I do, is people that go into like forensics or go into the court systems. You remember Bull, the show Bull? He
Uh-huh.
was a jury. He read helped pick and read juries and so forth. And
Oh yeah.
even a classic movie, one of Grisham's books had that. And I can't imagine doing that field because sociopaths and psychopaths, they are incredible with their nonverbals. Um,
You've never
and
been interested in doing that? See, I thought you would like that. I was going to ask if you'd done anything like that in the past.
I did a little bit. I was reading. I was asked from a radio station during a case about an accidental murder, if you will. An accident that caused
Yeah.
deaths. To kind of go through and read different things, and that's hard. I mean, it's basically admitted guilt. Here's the accident and so forth, but it's just not how I'm designed. I
Yeah.
really enjoy more relational. I love gender dynamics. I love women, men. I love diversity. I love being a voice, particularly for vulnerable or underrepresented, underserved. So I tend to be more social dynamics and relational.
Well, I'm going to ask you. You can put your thinking cap on. 3 things I'd love for you to maybe give to women before we, get off this. I always like giving something that they can take away, whether it's around confidence in the business world, because I know that's your passion. But I have an idea for you too. So there's my
Oh,
question. I'm going to give you some time to think about it while I'm pontificating here and just basically
ooh.
rambling. Yeah, I learned that word recently.
Oh, you
55 years
did?
old.
It's a
Yeah,
nice one. Good job.
it wins some Scrabble games. Uh, so I think if you're ever in Chattanooga again, I
I
got a
will be.
brand new studio that's bigger, better. It's rented out all the time. Whitfield Media. If there is a presidential or big debate, we should
Okay.
do a live Facebook,
Let's do
watch the debate, and we can pause it. We can come back after the fact and go, okay, so when she put her hands on her hips like this, or when he pointed his finger,
that.
that
Right.
kind of stuff would be fun.
We're doing it. Consider it a date.
That would be
2024. 4. We're on it.
That's going to be fantastic. Now, yeah. All right, I'm going to set that up. I think it'd be good.
I think that'd be a lot of fun,
I
right?
think it'd be fantastic. Plus, I'll make sure we get one other person in there. We need somebody drunk. I think that would be fun to add there. Just kidding. Just kidding.
That's good that it's not us, right?
No,
We
I
can
want
be
somebody else drunk because they're the ones that will regret it. And,
and then we'll read them too.
take video. That'll be good. They'll go viral. It'll be a big deal for all of us.
Disclaimer will be good to go.
Tell everybody, people that are listening to this because of that in sales or personal relationship, you take it how you want to go. If you were talking to me and I'm like, I want to develop confidence in the business world, what do you tell somebody that's a new client?
Well,
what to look out for?
Master the handshake. We have returned to handshakes, and while women have gotten a lot better with handshakes, I wouldn't say we're equal yet. You have to look at the hand of the size of the hand and pressure, and bringing the body forward, and so work on mastering the handshake. Second thing is we can of course wear what we want to wear, right? However, we know that men tend to cover their bodies up more. And so where do we want them to focus? Is it our chest, our legs, our back, our arms, or is it our face? To say the message. The third thing I would say is make sure that you are prepared, in the sense of things to talk about. And there's this fine line, but it's really not that fine, of sharing your accomplishments. And it's not braggadocious or, arrogant. Men, I will say, tend to do it better of things that they've done. And it's just kind of factual. Like I've written 3 books, and, I've was awarded a Japan's, Fulbright scholarship. And they're not said to make anybody feel bad or to like raise myself, but it's just part of our accomplishments, particularly if you're looking to get work or you want to, be picked up as a contractor, or someone says, hey, what's your story, kind of thing. So have 4 or 5 of those, where you graduated from, or your goal, or whether it's you're a welder, and, maybe you had a special project, whatever it might be. So, work on that so it rolls off the tongue easier.
Yeah, your bona fides. I think there's nothing wrong with having those 3 or 4 things off the top of your head that you're proud of. We're kind of admission to whatever room you're in. Like this is why I'm here, and this is why you should listen to me. Mike Carter said she's a jewel. I taught school together in Lafayette, Georgia with her. So
Mike Carter, hi. It's great to hear from you. We go back a very long way. Back in the days when I started with my career, I was a junior high school teacher, now called middle school.
That's right.
Public education for almost 10 years. Hi, Mike. Shout out.
Mike is a bad man too. He's a boxing badass himself. Anyway, I would love to do the debate. And I love the 3 things. And I'm going to end it with one story I've shared with you before. Then I'm going to make sure everybody knows how to find out more about you. If they want to buy your books, want to get you to speak at an event, maybe they're looking for some coaching for them or their team. I think I shared this with you last time. It's around my daughter. It's around handshakes. Did I tell you the story of when we went up to visit her college?
Oh, no, because, she was just graduating high school.
So we just did the tour. We were up there taking a tour. She went into sports administration. Anyway, she's going to be something in the health industry. She's super smart, Dean's List. I think she's going to go into the dietitian side of things, but different world. Anyway, so we go up, we're taking a tour like they give families, and there's a small group of like 8 or 9 of us. They break us up. We're 8 or 9 people now walking around campus. We go to the building where a lot of her classes are going to be. And as we're walking out, it's on a Saturday. So the odds that you see somebody, an administrative person there, is going to be a little low. But we're walking out, and the lady that's doing the tour is very nice. And as one of the guys walking out of the gym, he's in gym clothes. He's been working out. She goes, "Oh, and that is the head of your department. He is the dean of your department." Yeah,
right.
And so, excuse me, he stops and turns around and addresses the 4 kids and the sets of parents that are there. And he goes, "Hey, I look forward to having y'all on. My name's such and such." And he's talking as he's kind of walking off. Saturday, look forward, and he's walking backwards, and my daughter goes, "No, sir, it's nice to meet you." And she steps forward and makes him stop walking. She puts her hand out. She goes, "No, sir, I'm going to shake your hand. It's nice to meet you." He stops, puts his bag down, wipes his hand off from sweat because he'd been working out, sticks his hand out, shakes his hand, and he goes, "That was very well done, young lady." And he looked up at me and his mom, she goes, "I bet y'all are kind of proud of that." I'm like,
"Good job, Dad."
And here's the great thing, as he's walking off, we're break up now. We're walking behind the leader, and she leans over and she goes, And I crushed his hand, Dad. And I'm like, "That a girl. That a
Nothing like a little
girl."
PSI.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, that's how you
Oh,
just,
that's
yeah.
fantastic, Clint. Good
Yeah.
job. Yeah, then that's where a lot of handshakes that are well done, we tend to learn from a male figure. So I'll chalk that up to you.
Yeah, well, I think her mom did that pretty good too. But I to
Good.
your point, yeah, it's just it made me proud. Whenever you talk about handshakes, I always have little stories like that, and it makes me happy. And a lot of that stuff I teach is from hanging out with people like you that reinforce that what I'm thinking is probably the right way to go, and you've proven it over the course of your career. Tell everybody if they say I need her to come and speak to my group, I may want some coaching, I just want to buy her books. Is there a place they can go and find all of that information?
Sure. My website, bodylanguagedoctor.com. And the doctor is DR. So bodylanguagedr.com, or Google my name. Lots of things come up, fortunately. And my phone number, my email. My email is my name, Donna Van Natten at Gmail, or Donna at bodylanguagedoctor.com. You can find me either way. And the books, you can get them on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, or you can actually click and go through my website as well.
And everybody look forward to the debate live video, which I think will be fantastic.
We're
And
going to do a whole
now,
series. We're going to do a
and
whole series. We're
here's
going to make
what's
it a
bad.
show.
Here's what's bad now. Now I've locked myself in. I did not. Okay, this is Clint's statements. Please remove Dr. Donna Van Natten for what I'm about to say.
I'll disclaimer myself.
All hate mail comes to Clint Powell.
Yes.
I was hoping Biden and Trump wouldn't run again because they're two of the worst candidates we could get, I personally think. But now that I'm doing this selfishly, I would love to see that.
Let's just have a good time with whoever is on stage. How's that?
I guess, but now
we're gonna
I'm
have like a football game. We're gonna have the chips and the dip, and we're gonna be like, "Oh, check that out!" Take it out at the 50-yard.
Yeah, but now I really don't want professionals. I want people that are crazy up there now.
We'll take crazy. Crazy's good in the beginning. They're all going to be on stage, and we're going to be there with them.
All right, that sounds good. Dr. Donna Van Natten, thank you for your time, and I hope you are living the good life. Thank you so much.
Back at you, and I'll talk to you soon, and I'll see you even sooner. Thanks, Clint.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.